Present.
Mrs. Downs. Here. Mr. Caderas. Mr. Kurtz.
Here.
Mr. Natale. Here. Mr. Strollo. Here. Mr. Selma. Here. Mr. Affey. Here. Ms. Blake. Here. Mr. Hilsinger. Here. We have a quorum.
All right. Commission public, please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay, tonight we're going to take applications of new business of 1, 2, and 3, which is the Norton School application. Can we hear the call for that, please?
1, application for site plan approval on behalf of the town of Cheshire, applicant Ryan Scritole. Applicant is requesting a site plan approval per section 30, schedule A of the zoning regulations for a school located at 414 and 422 North Brookfield Road, Assessors Map 77, Lot 205, Map 77, Lot 206, Zoned R20. Public hearing must close by 4/15/24. 2, application for a special permit on behalf of the town of Cheshire, applicant Ryan Scritole. Applicant is requesting a special permit pursuant to section 30, schedule A of the zoning regulations for a school located at 414 and 422 North Brooksville Road, Assessors Map 77, Lot 205, Map 77, Lot 206, Zoned R20. 3, application for earth removal, filling, or regrading permit on behalf of town of Cheshire, applicant Ryan Scritole. Applicant is requesting a permit pursuant to section 25 of the zoning regulations for earth removal, filling, or regrading for the property located at 414 and 422 North Brooksville Road, Assessors Map 77, Lot 205, Map 77, Lot 206, Zoned R20.
Thank you, and representing the applicant tonight?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Justin Hopkins with Tecton Architects. I'm a project manager and registered architect at Tecton with our offices in Hartford, Connecticut. With me tonight from Benesh, the civil engineer, Will Walter, landscape architect Ryan Dean, and traffic engineer Chris Van Zanten. We also have the pre-construction manager from O&G, Laurel Purcell. When we get into some of the discussion about sequencing, Laurel will be able to represent what is in your packet this evening. We also have representatives of Cheshire Public Schools, Mr. Superintendent Solon and Vin Masiana, to answer any questions related to operations within the district. So we have within your packet is the most current information. We've gone through inland wetlands, responded to the third-party engineer comments as well as the town engineer comments. Last week, inland wetlands closed the public hearing, but they did not render a decision. They will be rendering their decision at the next meeting there. So we're catching you after they've closed the public hearing. We understand that this public hearing is like from the town planner. This public hearing will likely remain open until the inland wetlands can close their hearing. We figured we would be providing our presentation tonight and hearing any initial comments. So what we'd like to do is go through, similar to the beginning of the presentation that we had when we went through the north end. We just want to recap some of our background information regarding how we've gotten to this point. We'd also like to go through some of the site and building design that is part of the application. We'll go through some of the site engineering, the traffic study and recommendations, as well as the site logistics and sequencing. That's a major part of this project. As you know, we're going to be building the new Norton Elementary School behind the existing school while it is still in session. So very important that we get the sequencing and the site logistics down, and that's what O&G will be able to discuss. So just as a refresher, this is one of two projects that our office and the design team is working on within the town. At your last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, the North End application was closed, and now we're before you with, the public hearing was closed, and now we're here for the public hearing for Norton. We have this slide just to represent what the distinction is between the two schools. The north end is a larger building. It's exactly the same curriculum from grades K to 6. The only distinction is at the north end, there's the pre-kindergarten program that's there. So that accounts for the relative increase in size, student population, and project budget. Through our visioning and working with the district and within the community, we have arrived at a project approach that we believe celebrates the context and culture of Cheshire. As we discussed with the North End, we arrived at what we're affectionately calling a farm and field concept. For Norton, we have arrived at a woods and trails concept. So those are phrases or themes that we draw on when we start talking about the overall motif for the feelings of the building. So we arrived at this through a collaborative process with a cross-section of administrators, teachers, parents, and students. We had some initial working groups. We had continuous working groups through design, as well as think tank sessions, where we really we started to discuss the projects at a conceptual level. We drew on some inspiration within the community, from Lock 12 to Roaring Brook Falls. And this really started to reinforce some of our precedent imagery for the woods and trails concept. And through the think tanks, we arrived at a mission, a vision, and a story. And if you've caught any of my presentations within the community, you'll know that I always read our think tank mission statement. So for Norton, this is what we collectively arrived at for a mission statement. We're doing this for everyone who's here and everyone who's coming next, so that they can grow as a learner in a space that is fun and safe for mind and body, and ultimately feel like they belong, are safe, supported, and welcome. So rendered site plan, just one second. Whoops. There we go. So rendered site plan, the total parcel on the left, a blow up of where the existing building is on the right. North is pointed up on the screen here. You'll see Farmington Drive to the left, North Brooksfield Road to the south, and Sharon Drive is off the page, but we have an access road that goes out to it. So this is important because it starts to show the relationship of the new building that we're constructing, how it exists on the parcel with the existing building. So the existing building is in a white outline to the North Brooksvale side of the parcel. So by and large, we're going to be building the new Norton School behind the building. And then once the students move out, we will be demolishing the existing elementary school and constructing the parking. And Laurel will be able to go into the sequencing for it. We have two entrances off of North Brooksvale. The one to the eastern portion of the site, or the southeastern portion of the site, is the existing curb cut. This is where the existing circulation into the site exists. This will constitute the main entrance into the site. To the right, we have the parent pickup and drop-off. So we are bringing parents and visitors in on axes to the site, which the intention of that is to allow for a significant queue length for the pickup and drop-off operation. The bus pickup and drop-off is to the western portion of the site, and this is where we have the majority of our faculty parking, as well as our loading and service entrance to the western portion of the building. As we zoom in on the new construction proper, you'll see the areas that I identified earlier, the parent pickup and drop-off to the eastern portion of the roadway, and our bus pickup and drop off to the western. We do have an access drive, an access way all the way around the building to help facilitate 360-degree service to the building. So this is done through a combination of sidewalk as well as structured pavers that satisfy the width of any apparatus that's going to be arriving at the site. We also have an access drive that goes out to Sharon. That is meant to be for emergency response vehicles, overflow. It's not intended currently to be a day-to-day or a daily site access. Although we will, when we get into the site logistics, we will show you how we are leveraging that entrance off of Sharon Drive to help facilitate the construction of the new building with minimizing the impact to the existing entrance off of North Brooksville and the existing school while the students are there. We have playscapes to the north portion of the building structure. This is intended to be directly adjacent to the cafeteria. So we have a combination of hardscape as well as apparatus playscapes there, as well as 2 green spaces, multi-purpose fields directly to the west of to show, I'll get into the floor plans, but our cafeteria is right about here, and our gymnasium is here. So we'll have the ability to leverage this multi-purpose field as part of the gym operations, and we have a more informal green space to the eastern portion of the site. Some of you may have seen earlier renderings when we were having our community discussions where we had a number of the playscapes to the eastern portion of the site. Through our conversations with the faculty and the cross-section in our working group meetings, there was a desire to place those playscapes closer to the cafeteria so that it can help facilitate that shorter transition between kids eating their lunch and then going out to play. So this has allowed us to provide some informal walking paths as well around the green space. In terms of our floor plan, it's a similar organization that we had to the north end, which our main entry is directly in between the parent pickup and drop-off and the bus pickup and drop-off. The areas that are located in green here are our administrative suites. All of our quote-unquote public curriculum components, our gymnasium, our media center, cafeteria, some of our instrumental spaces are all off of this main, what we call our Main Street corridor. So if you're thinking about how this is organized from a curriculum standpoint, all of our kind of public areas are to the left of the floor plan, and our grade level learning communities are in the wings to the right. Yes, go ahead.
Where's the library?
Right here, middle of the building. So, and that, as we go to the second floor, that is a 2-story space that will be able to have accessibility from both the main floor level, where we have the majority of that program, but also on the upper level. So in a K-6 arrangement, we have an early elementary, when you think about kindergarten, first, second grade, and then we also have third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So those upper elementary learning communities are on the second floor. So they are similarly partitioned within their wings in 2 grade level learning communities. So 5th and 6th would be in the lower one, 3rd and 4th would be on the upper one. At the upper level, we have a bridge that connects the two that serves as a means of egress so that we can make sure that we're accommodating emergency egress out of the building.
And the library has access to the courtyard for reading out there when it's nice?
Yes, yes. So similar to the North End organization, and I'll go back to this, we do have what we call an open courtyard where the learning communities kind of frame an area that we have a public programmatic element directly at the heart of it. So we'll be able to get from our media center out to the open courtyard. This accomplishes a couple things. It allows us to have some protected exterior curriculum space, but also allows us to increase the building perimeter to allow natural light to get deeper into the buildings. So it's a similar strategy that we pulled on both schools. In terms of some of our renderings or our imagery, this is a view looking towards from the parent pickup and drop-off loop on axes coming into the building. Our main entrance is here. Our art classrooms are here. Our learning communities are to the right. Administrative suite to the left. Gym in the background behind. This is a view looking from the bus pickup and drop-off area. And then if we zoom out a little bit, you'll see this is the gymnasium here, kitchen and cafeteria behind, and that playscape outside of the gymnasium. So where these two entrances exist in the floor plan allows for students to arrive for drop-off or for school arrival. Also allows them to queue up for dismissal in the afternoon, either in the cafeteria or the gymnasium.
Mr. Bowen?
Yes, sir.
Queuing, I don't think is the problem.
Nope.
You've got plenty of queuing.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is waiting for the turn into the school.
Okay.
Is your pedestrian traffic going to change? Or are you gonna continue to cross the street where you currently do?
So the goal with providing a more robust parking area is that we're not going to be having students park in the church parking across the street and having to cross the street, if that's what your question is.
No, that's
Okay.
not my question.
Okay.
My question is, the students that are walking from the Avon Boulevard section that have to cross the street, are they gonna continue to cross where they're crossing now? Because having driven down that street a couple 100,000 times,
Matt, put your mic on.
I didn't think I needed it.
It's gotta be picked up on the thing. It's not that you're not a big
Anyway.
mouth.
I can hear you, but I'm sure the folks at home
Yeah,
can't.
I'm sure they really want you to. But, no, my concern is the, being a state highway and stopping constantly for people, not only just turning, driving east on 42 and trying to cross traffic, they're also trying to cross the crossing guards or to stop for the crossing guards. So your queuing on the property is fine.
Yep.
It's off the property. Has there any consideration been given to the idea of maybe creating a drop-off through the Sharon Drive area?
So well, first of all, I'd like to, Chris, I don't know if you can address any of the off-site pedestrian. We do have our traffic engineer as well. But I can tell you that the Sharon Drive access, and I'll ask Superintendent Solon, the concept is that the Sharon Drive access and the Farmington Drive access, we're going to formalize that walking path out to Farmington.
Yep.
So each one of those areas will be allowable for students to arrive on site. But I don't think that we've had that level of formal discussions with the district about exactly how they're going to provide that. We
I
just
think
can
it's
say
a
that it's
question that
available.
has to be asked because
Sure.
you are on a state highway. I have read the traffic report. and it said that your hourly rate there during school time, especially drop-off, is the 80-car range. And that in 1 hour by itself is not a problem, but combined with the student population walking, walking is the thing that's creating more time than is normal to get through that intersection. So my thought was if you brought at least the drop-off through, your buses, I believe you only have 10 there a day?
Yeah,
Approximately,
approximately.
so
Yep.
that's really not a major problem.
No.
But if you could bring the drop-offs in from Sharon Drive, which isn't a state highway, it isn't a busy road, it could alleviate the congestion that's on Route 42 and lessen, and there hasn't been, I read your traffic report, there hasn't been any pedestrian accidents there. There has been no, I think only one minor accident in 3 years there. But you could eliminate any threat to a pedestrian crossing. And it might just help to alleviate some of the traffic concerns that I have.
Okay. Chris, is there anything that you would like to add onto this?
Chris Van Zanten from Benesh. I always have trouble with this mic. The proposed plan right now is to actually put the crosswalk on the other side of the driveway. So you're only
Other side, north, east, west, south?
to the west of the proposed east driveway. So west of that east driveway there.
Yep, no, that's fine.
And what we're proposing to do is to install a rectangular rapid flashing beacon, similar to what you see on Mountain Road near Cornwall, in the vicinity of Doolittle. Pedestrian pushes that button, it begins the flashing. But, you know, the pedestrian needs to wait and make sure that the driver stops, but it does provide that warning. So that's our plan for that location. And we had a preliminary meeting with the Connecticut DOT. They recommended that. And we also have consulted with the local traffic authority, and he was on board with that. He recommended that as well.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. You do
Okay.
have crossing guards now, so that's,
Yep.
you know, that really isn't an issue. That's a nice added feature. But that's not the concern.
I understand.
The concern I have is with vehicles, not, you know.
Right, and that was the biggest cues that I saw when I was observing the intersection as well, is that it's those pedestrian crossings. There's a significant number of pedestrians that cross at that location. And when they're crossing, they kind of cross in groups, so it takes a little bit of time. The crossing guard stops the traffic, and, you know, it takes a little time for them to get across, but then it clears pretty quickly once they do get across. But it is, I understand what you're saying. Yep.
So I will say the goal with the kind of increased queue links and the additional ingress and egress on the site from North Brooksville is to get all of the cars that are dropping off students on the property rather than at remote locations. So I'm sure Chris will be able to address other traffic items in just a couple of slides. But I don't know if that satisfied your question?
Well, the question I have you looked into considering the parent drop-off from Sharon Drive? That's the crux of the question. I had a bunch of comments about your traffic, having read your traffic report, having had a concern with the combination of traffic and pedestrian traffic. If we could alleviate some of that by bringing in or making a partial parent drop-off from Sharon Drive.
Okay. We'll just say,
Partial?
I
How would
think
you-
Superintendent Stolen wants to.
Yeah, let him do it. How'd you do partial?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that piece. Yeah, definitely, we looked at Sharon Drive for a variety of either bringing the buses in through that entrance or exiting buses through that entrance. One thing that when Sean, the town manager, and I had conversations with people on Sharon Drive, there are a lot of reservations about dramatic increases in vehicular traffic, people dropping kids off on that street, stuff like that. Some of that stuff we won't be able to stop, but not formalizing the entrance through there. So we have the two entranceways built into this plan for vehicular and bus entrance. And right now, we only have one, and it's a much shorter queuing space on the property. So a lot of folks drive their children too today. So we're bringing all that stuff onto the site, I think as Justin was just saying, and we're trying to respect the folks who live on Sharon Drive by not drawing a lot more vehicular traffic there.
Yeah,
But we definitely looked at that.
I'm trying to respect them all.
Sure, I'm not saying you're not.
Really concerned with safety
Sure, yeah,
and pedestrian safety.
as are we.
And so it's kind of the same situation that you have in Eastgate and Highland School, where the more people are learning that they have the ability to drop off at Eastgate instead of going into the school and turning. So maybe that will help to relieve some of it, because you will have a walkway from Farmington and a walkway from Sharon.
Yeah, there's definitely a pedestrian entrance through the back as well, in addition to the point you
Will
just
that
made.
be wide enough or considered a second way of egress for emergency vehicles?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one thing that Chief Kasner really made clear, that when we were designing the property, we had to have that entranceway. And I think the folks on Sharon Drive, I appreciate their understanding when we had that conversation, and they just didn't want it to turn into the new Brooksvale off that, inlet. So I think we're all on the same page here in terms of trying to make sure we balance the traffic, certainly our student and pedestrian safety, and I think, we've tried to address that through the design. But yes, students can walk in and out through a sidewalk in the back, and emergency vehicles can access the site from the rear.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think, yeah, Casey, then Jeff, yeah.
Are people currently driving out of behind Norton onto Sharon? Is that a?
No,
Like that,
no, it's
no.
there's currently no drivable access there. So part of this
Cut out there?
project,
It's pretty thick woods. Yeah.
Oh,
so part of this project, I'll go back to the macro.
Way back. Yeah.
Mr. Natale, question?
Part of this project
Oh, he's still
actually
answering, sorry.
formalizes this drive. As part of this, we have to put a box culvert over the I guess, I think we call it the canal, right? That's off of the property line. So currently, there's no drivable access way out to Sharon. And that was one of the things from the very first conversations we had, was to provide an additional emergency outlet for first responders, for, if there's an accident on Brooksvale and we need to get people out of this property, to be able to leverage that secondary access.
so that right-of-way has always been there?
Yes. Yep,
Thank you.
no problem.
I just want to touch on something that Mr. Bowman said about Highland School, Eastgate. So you have that long driveway, you have a traffic light, and a lot of parents do go over to Eastgate. And I know a lot of people that live there, they complain because their driveways get blocked, they can't park in front of their house. Is there a plan in place to try and encourage more folks to go through Brooksvale rather than having Sharon or Farmington turn into another Eastgate?
Yes, I mean, the goal is we're able to accommodate approximately 60 idling cars in the queue to the pickup and drop-off area, with an additional 20 visitor parking areas. So we feel like we can, and it's closer to the entrance to the building. So one of the challenges with the current setup at Norton, anyway, is that the front door is so close to the street. You can, if I were a parent, I'd probably park across the street as well, or park somewhere else to allow my child to get into the site. The location of the new building is set far enough back in the property, and we're providing paved sidewalk access, as well as proximate drop-off locations that the goal is to get all of that queue, encourage all of the parents to drop off on the property.
Gotcha. And I just speak from experience there too, because my daughter was at Highland for starting the kindergarten, And I can probably count on one hand the number of times that I went through the driveway coming off Route 10. Always used the East Gate, parked there, got yelled at, even when I was parked okay. So I don't know. I just think you got to do something, and I don't know what it is, just to really encourage these people to use Brooksville, because Sharon Drive is going to get messed up.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, I got a bunch of questions here, so,
Yeah.
right down the line. Mr. Mercado?
Go ahead.
Is there drivable access for food delivery trucks and garbage removal?
Yes, so I will, so it is off of the bus pickup and drop off, our service entry, and our kitchen is right here, as well as our physical plant or our head end utility area. So our service, loading, deliveries are all to the west of the property.
Thank you.
So we're able to separate that operation from the parent pickup and drop off as well. So,
No. The dumpsters are far away from the playscape in the back there?
yes, they're here. The playscapes are out here. So we are attempting to frame or at least shelter or obscure the dumpsters, the trash and recycling areas from the playscapes out back. Yep. Yes, sir.
They're around 4:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, so I don't think there's
Yeah.
a problem there.
They go right in the
No,
middle of
because
the bus
I'm up
drop off.
and I'm across from the high school, so I could tell you all about that, but it's pretty well operation, I think. The job's been well planned, you know,
Yep.
and I don't think you're gonna have a problem here either. That's my personal opinion, but
Thank you.
it's a good town, you know, people are really workable. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have two kids that go to Norton now. Will the traffic guy be talking more about the crosswalk that you're proposing?
I think we should let them do their presentation.
That's why I'm
before we
not-
start hitting them with all the questions, you know, like.
Yeah, I get
I'm not
it.
saying anybody can't ask a question, but a lot of stuff might get answered in their presentation.
That's
He's
what
the
I'm
first
asking.
one, so that's all.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
Okay, bring it on. If we have questions that need to be
if you
answered
want,
now.
yeah, if you want to ask, well, it's just, but it might come up in his.
I'll wait for the traffic
Okay.
portion.
Thank you.
And you're the first one to ask a question if it doesn't come up. All right.
So represented in the elevations that are part of the packet, we are just providing our kit of parts for our exterior materiality. We have a combination of brick and ledge stone veneer at some of our lower areas to provide a more durable finish. At some of the areas that are on the upper level, we're looking at a clapboard metal wall panel, aluminum storefront windows. In the areas of our window surrounds, it will be a metal panel, but we'll provide a bronze or wood tone color as part of that accent color. We are pulling in some natural wood in areas of the canopies. We are sensitive to those locations to make sure they're covered so that they are not susceptible to widespread weathering. For our flat roof portions, we have a conventional EPDM roof membrane. For our sloped roof portions, we have an architectural asphalt shingle. In terms of our site drainage and utility plans, I'm going to invite Will Walter up just to, I can tell you that in your supplemental packet, you should see responses to engineering comments. So I don't know if there's anything that you, Will, if you would just like to summarize where we've been. And then we'll get, the very next slide is a traffic slide, so we'll get Chris up here to.
Thanks, Justin. Good evening, members of the commission. For the record, Will Walter, professional engineer with Alfred Benish and Company. As Justin had mentioned, this project went out to a third-party review engineer, Wright Pierce, for review of the drainage system. They provided us comments. We've responded to those comments. Additionally, the town staff has had opportunity and provided us comments, and we've responded to all of those comments as well. So under existing conditions, north is up. Topography is such that it slopes from the south to the north. There is an intermittent stream that runs east to west and then goes underneath Farmington Drive through culverts over here. That stream captures water not only from the site, but also from a relatively large tributary area south and then east, kind of around the site. It all flows and gets into this stream that then flows west. A smaller portion of this site, specifically the area up here, naturally flows right to this stream. But the majority of the site is captured under existing conditions through catch basins and manholes and piping, and it's discharged down here on the northwest portion of the site, which is the low spot of the site. And that discharge from the site has formed essentially a detention basin. It's not a man-made detention basin, but it's a result of all the drainage coming off of the existing built site. And so the goal of our drainage design is twofold. One, it's to capture all the water and then treat the water, and we're doing that through a series of 3 above-ground stormwater retention areas, stormwater management areas. It captures and treats the water, and then it detains the water and slowly regulates and releases the water, so it all comes back down right to this existing detention basin down here. So it's mimicking what's happening under existing conditions, and then eventually it gets in here and is naturally detained, and then it flows into this stream, as I had said, flows east to west. And there's some concern from some of the neighbors about, are we going to increase the flow going into that stream? Is it going to be flooding onto the neighbor's property? And with our design, we're reducing the peak discharge of our flow that gets into that stream and flows under there. As Justin had also mentioned, we have to provide a box culvert over the stream over here so we can have our emergency access get through. And that box culvert has been designed to take a 200-year storm without hitting the lower parts of that structure. So typically you design those for a 100-year. We've designed that for a 200-year storm. So that is the drainage design. As far as utilities, all the utilities are available in North Brooksville Road, and you can see that we're routing everything from our utility area around down to the road. And you might ask, why are we using this route instead of going straight? Because these are going to be constructed in the preliminary phases, and they're going to be constructed around the existing school, which is right here. So we can't bring them through the school right there. Part of the design includes for the sanitary a pump station. We're not able to gravity sanitary from here all the way to the sanitary main in North Brooksville, so we're going to have a pump station out here that's going to pump it up to a manhole that's going to be located somewhere over here, and that will gravity down to North Brooksville Road. We've received our approval from the Water Pollution Control Authority, so they've looked at our design and they've looked at the flows, and they can take those flows. A little bit about erosion control. We've designed a full erosion control plan that's been reviewed by the Wetlands Commission, been reviewed by the engineer. It's been designed for the 2023 DEP guidelines. It includes silt fence and hay bales and temporary sediment traps and things of that nature. Additionally, there's going to be a geothermal well field over here. There was some discussion at the North End School about making sure we're controlling those flows while they're drilling them, because they do generate an excessive amount of flow. So we're going to be putting extra silt fence and hay bales around that area, and then utilizing this permanent stormwater basin as a temporary measure for those flows to make sure that any flows generated during the construction of those wells will be captured and sediment will be able to exfiltrate out.
Before you get too far, we had a sewer question over here from Mr. Bowman.
In one of the comments, it was suggested that you were going to try to eliminate the pump station. Has that been looked at? Is there a way of getting it out to either Sharon Drive or Farmington Drive without too much of a disruption?
Yeah, we have looked at that, and the answer is no, we can't get it out. We need to do a pump station. Yep.
Okay, 'cause I did notice that in the comments.
Yeah.
That you were gonna try to look at that.
Yeah, we did, we looked at
You,
that.
you did, and the sewer commission has said that
Right.
they'll go with this, okay.
Yep, yep. And then the last thing I'll say is our landscaping. The landscape design for this project is intended to provide the development with trees, shrubs, ornamentals, grasses, and ground covers that are native and non-invasive species, whose various textures, sizes, and blooming periods will provide year-round color and visual appeal throughout the property. The plant material for this project is going to meet the Cheshire zoning regulations, and that the landscape design has been done in coordination with the facilities folks and making sure we're not going to be designing something that they can't maintain throughout the years.
Yeah.
I have one question going actually back to you. When you showed us the slide that had the interior layout, you're going through the classrooms, it looks like, if I'm reading it right, you have one elevator for the building?
Yes,
And that's good, that'll be used for the students, that'll be used for any other purposes?
yes.
And what if it breaks?
Excuse me?
What if it breaks?
What if the elevator breaks? Well,
Power outage or?
so both buildings, because this is probably, we only have one elevator on the north end as well, so I know that so this answer covers both buildings. Both buildings are covered by an emergency generator that will be able to power the elevator. In the event, it's not uncommon for a two-story school building to only have one elevator, even notwithstanding the size of the building. We have communicating stairs as well as enclosed egress stairs. The assumption is that while most of the program is on the main level, most of the students will be, that elevator is not going to be used. It's going to be used. It's going to be used when there's a student with a disability that needs to get to the upper level, as well as when heavier equipment on carts needs to get to the upper level.
Gotcha. And
So,
I'm sure the administration has a plan too, if there's a fire or something. 'cause you're
sure.
not supposed to go in the elevator.
We are building into the upper level landings of all of our egress stairs communication devices, though by code these are not required to be an area of refuge. We are putting in communication. So if a student is stuck on the upper level at that fire-rated egress stair, they will have a way to communicate for first responders.
Awesome, thank you. And one other question too. So I'm sorry if I missed it, but I see the dotted lines up on the top corner and the bottom right-hand corner, room for future classrooms. So that's great. You're thinking about expansion. Other land there available, like, you know, enrollment goes out through the roof 15 years from now. Is there other land available there to add additional room, classrooms?
So you'll see those also. Did somebody take my pointer? Thank you. You'll see those represented on the site plan. We do have quite a significant landscape buffer to the east of the building. We're primarily showing two-story expansion to allow us to get up to 4 additional classrooms, which would allow us to increase the student enrollment by up to 100 students. So.
Well, I'll just comment on that. I think it's really good that you're thinking down the road, because you don't want to build a school that's just going to be here for now. It's going to be there for a lot of years.
Thank you.
Mr. Bowman, did you have a question?
What is your fuel source for the generators?
They will be diesel. It's for our Norton is a 600 or 650, I forget, 650 kW generator. That will be diesel. Once you start to get above 100, 150, having a natural gas generator starts to become cost prohibitive. That's our understanding of the market. So forgive me, I believe we will have up to 48 hours of continuous use within the storage in the belly of the generator. So that will be something that, as we get closer to opening the building, we'll want to make sure that the district is aware of in terms of, in the event of a long-term power outage, that does need to get replenished over time, but for the kind of intermittent or daily power outages when we would need the generator, that fuel source is common. So.
Okay, and also, there was a mention of elevators and power outages and things like that. But if there's a fire, or if there's smoke detected, most commercial elevators will immediately go down to the first floor and open, if I'm not mistaken. So they're not gonna be able to be used for a rescue unless overridden by the fire department?
So usually that occurs, that's what's called battery lowering. So in the event of a power outage, there's typically a battery that is part of the hoistway mechanism that will provide the power to safely get the elevator cab down to the designated means of egress or level of exit discharge. The way that we are providing, as part of the generator, we are providing all life safety mechanisms, so emergency lighting, as well as our comfort, heating, making sure that we can keep the building at a maintainable heating level so that it doesn't freeze over time. But the primary source of the generator is for life safety, which will include the generator, raising and lowering.
Is this school gonna be used at all for emergency use?
So not in the conventional sense that you would think of as an emergency shelter.
Right.
Once those have an emergency shelter designation, they're subject to certain FEMA regulations for lateral forces, blast prevention, et cetera. The north end in particular, what has been identified by the NGSBC, our partners on the building committee, as a warming center or a cooling center. So that's not to say that this building couldn't also be that, just by virtue of its ability to be a charging area in the event of a power outage. But really what the district is looking at and the committee is looking at is utilizing the north end for that warming, cooling, charging center. So
And your backup fuel source?
the backup fuel source,
Backup fuel source?
it's the generator.
No, your backup fuel source for your heating.
Meaning, I'm trying to,
Well, you're going to use ground source or
yep.
for your primary, but is there a backup to that? Is it electric backup? Is it?
It's electric backup in our air handling units. We have electric resistance heat in those dedicated outside air systems. But the heat pump system is electrically generated. We have no fossil fuels in either one of these buildings. So the generator will be, in the absence of permanent power, the generator will be able to operate those pumps with the ground source wells. Yep.
Hang on, we need 1 sec. Mr. Salmon, I cut you off before. Was yours a traffic question, or was it a question on the? Okay, I need it.
Thank you. Are either of these schools being equipped with any special safety features that may be needed in the event of lockdowns?
The short answer is yes.
I know if you
yep.
can't, I expect that you can't go into details.
So-
I just wanted to make sure there's some provision.
So we've had executive sessions with the NGSBC to go over our strategies for safety and security.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Mr. Mercado.
Where the playground is, the wall there, is that gonna be constructed so they can use it for bouncing balls and playing dodgeball and whatnot? It's not just gonna be a fake facade, it'll be something more substantial?
That's a keen eye. You're talking about this guy right here?
Good.
We tried to put a balloon in front of it to throw you off, but no, that has been the goal, is to have that either be an activity facade, but we will be developing that further. But that is the goal. Yes.
And we have another question from Mr. Hilsinger, too, he wants to ask.
Okay.
The generator is just for critical loads, so it's not to run the building as if there was power?
We do go beyond life safety for the building loads, more so in the north end, but through our conversations with the district, we have critical classroom generated outlets, classroom teaching stations, interactive displays. Those are all part of the emergency load. So in the event of a power outage, we don't shut down the building and send the kids home, immediately send the kids home. They will be able to continue their instruction for the day. So.
Okay, I think we can go to traffic.
Okay.
Again, for the record, Chris Van Zanten from Benish. I'm a PE in state of Connecticut and a PTOE. As part of the project, we performed a traffic impact study. The study extends all the way to the west, all the way to Mountain Road over here, and then all the way to the east. The two intersections, one with King Road and Route 10, and then the other with North Brooksville, Route 42, and Route 10. We also picked a number of key intersections along the route in between that study area for analysis. Those included the intersection with South Main, Route 10, King Road, South Main, and Route 10. The intersection of King and North Brooksville, Avon Boulevard in North Brooksville, Farmington Drive in Denard Place, Ward Lane, Mountain Road, and then the two site driveways. As part of our study, we performed a comprehensive data collection. We performed turning movement counts at each of those intersections, 2 hours during the peak, the morning peak hour, and then 2 hours in the afternoon peak hour. And the morning and afternoon peak hours, they coincided with the school peaks out there. We also performed 72-hour ATR counts on North Brooksville Road, just west of Avon Boulevard in the vicinity of the school. I was out there personally on numerous occasions observing the operations out there. Two times I was out there just kind of seeing how traffic was entering the site. I observed the pedestrian. There's a good amount of pedestrian activity out there, which is great to see. People walk into school. One aspect of that is, though, that a lot of people do park across the street at the St. Thomas Becket Church and then walk across in groups. During that period, those peak periods, I think in the morning we saw, we had 17 adults that crossed the street and 30 children during that AM peak hour, and then in the afternoon, 14 adults and 66 children. So, and while we were out there also, we observed the queuing and we observed the parking. We also dug into each of those locations. We looked at the Yukon crash data repository. We did that in two analysis periods. We looked at 2017 through 2019 before the pandemic, and then we looked at 2020 through through the summer of 2023. That was the available data then. Key findings out there. We didn't, most of those unsignalized intersections, the crashes were pretty sparse. There was one pedestrian crash at the Farmington Canal Trail, and that happened at nighttime in December of 2020. There was also a bicyclist crash closer to the intersection with North Brooksville and Route 10. A bicyclist was turning left out of the gas station there amongst the queue and got hit. There were also two crashes that did involve a school bus. Both of them, one was at Ward Lane. It involved a car that was stopped at the stop bar, and the bus actually hit it when they were turning up onto Ward. And then there was a rear end collision. The bus stopped and hit the car in front of it. So other than that, no real crash patterns out there, other than the typical crash patterns that we'd see at a typical signalized intersection, rear ends and a few side swipes out there. once we got all that data plugged into our, we gathered all that data, we plugged that into a model. We developed a model of this study area. What we did is we projected the traffic volumes that we collected this year, or last year, in May of 2023. We forecasted those out to 2026 using a growth rate that was provided to us by the Connecticut DOT, Bureau of Policy and Planning. We also consulted with the OSTA, State Traffic Administration, and Planning and Zoning, or Planning Department here. No other pending developments in the area that we needed to account for. So what we did is we forecasted that out to 2026 with the current traffic from our school. That's the no-build situation. And then we forecasted, what we did is we took the trips from our site that we counted at the school driveways. And since the enrollment's cruising from 429 to 661, works out to about 1.54 increase multiplicative. We just multiplied the trip generation by 1.6, gave a little extra level of comfort there. What we did is then we distributed those trips, those new trips, onto the area roadways, and redistributed the traffic that goes into the church across the street into our driveways to provide an even more worst case, assuming everybody's going into the site. Plugged that in and ran an analysis on both the no build and build, provided a comparison of those two. Key findings from our study: the unsignalized intersections shown here all work with acceptable levels of service in the no build as well as in the build. Slightly more delay at some of those approaches, but works very good. At the intersection of Route 10 with North Brooksville, Route 42, that signal does not work well now. In the future, currently it's working at a level of service E overall in the morning and a level of service D in the afternoon overall. The main movement out there that's not doing well is the southbound movement coming from the north on Route 10. So what we looked at, and with our school traffic, the overall levels of service do not change, but you're still going to see that poor movement from the north southbound movement. So what we did is we looked at some timing adjustments that we can make in that existing controller, and we're able to improve the overall operations at that intersection to a level of service C in the morning and a level of service B in the afternoon. And that also improves that southbound approach to a level of service C. So that's one thing that we're going to be working with the Department of Transportation to try to make those changes to the signal timings out there. We did have a preliminary meeting with the department back in the late summer of 2023. They gave us, their feedback. A lot of it's redoing some of the curbing, some of the new sidewalk along the frontage there. They were on board with our proposed driveways. Looked at that with them. They did recommend that rectangular rapid flashing beacon. We consulted with the local traffic authority. They were on board with that as well and recommended that. So we have implemented that into the design. A couple other things that we're recommending as part of this is we're going to replace the school zone signage out there to be up to the latest standard, the Connecticut DOT standard, as well as the MUTCD standards latest. We're also going to adjust some of that signage. Some of it's obscured by utility poles out there, so we're going to move that around, make sure it's visible, and it commands the attention that it needs. And that's pretty much it for what we're proposing out there. If you have any questions, I can answer them now, or if you want me to come back, I can come back.
Him, then me. Mr. Selma.
Can you run me through the on-site traffic flow and traffic pattern? So,
sure.
Unfortunately, I have extensive knowledge of these. The two driveways, I'm looking at one of the plans. This one happens to be a grading plan, but I see both driveways. Both driveways are two-way traffic coming into the property. Where are the buses expected to go? Where are the drop-offs expected to go? Yep. Can you kind of just walk me through the flow of the average school day?
Sure. So this east driveway, that's going to be for parents.
Okay.
The west driveway is going to be for staff and for buses. So this is going to, serve that parent drop-off, provide that queuing. There is a cross connection if someone did want to come in and go to that parking area over here. But the general circulation pattern is for the parents to come in the east driveway, staff and buses to use that west driveway.
So the buses are gonna drop off in front of the ball field, it looks like. No, they're gonna go, where are they actually gonna drop off the students in relation to the building?
So ideally, they're going to drop off parallel to the front facade of the building. So parent pickup and drop off, it should all be both students getting out of cars and students getting out of buses should get out on this sidewalk here that runs east to west.
So the east driveway, parent drives in, goes around the loop, drops her kid off at some point, continues around the loop and goes straight out. The buses come in on the west side driveway, go straight down the parking lot passage, or are they gonna go to the cutoff
take a
and then
right.
they're gonna take a right and then take a left and then drop off in the front door and then go around the parking and exit? So that theoretically, the bus and the cars would never mix.
Yeah, that's the goal, is to not have that intermingling. Yes.
Right, okay.
Like what's happening out there now. Yeah.
So that, well, the queuing isn't horrible. People drop their kids off, that usually moves pretty good. The problem is you have parents that are parking to walk their kid in, or perhaps they have an appointment or whatever. You have buses that are now blocking the queuing for you to get out, which this seems to eliminate. And then the biggest problem I see from a public standpoint is actually everybody traveling on North Brooksville that's not related to the school. So people, service vehicles, people going to work, whatever, you're hitting that crosswalk and, that guy's trying to get to somebody's house to fix their furnace and now they're sitting there for 12 minutes. This should eliminate it because now you have two flows going in instead of one in, one out. So that'll help greatly. I guess the crosswalk that you're proposing with I forgot what you call it, the lights.
Rectangular rapid flashing beacon. You call it RRFB.
What exactly is that?
So it's, we don't have that detailed in me. I could show, but it's basically, if you drive on, Mountain Road, and and then if you're going out at the intersection of Cornwall, there's near Doolittle, the vicinity there.
Cornwall Extension.
Yep. You'll have your diamond-shaped sign. It'll have a pedestrian crossing sign.
You hit the button, everything lights up like crazy and.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you go to
And those lights are only activated when the switch is activated, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And then, is there a manual override of some sorts? The other problem with something like that is they sit there and flash. Let's say it's a 30-second deal or a 10-second deal. In a lot of cases, like I see the crossing guard, two kids run by, all right, come on, keep it moving. When you have something that's automated or a digital sign, it's programmed for a 10-second, which could be, is there a manual override for it, if you will, or some kind of
it's typically you got a little bit of a clearance that it's going to get, stop doing it. And then
there's no sensor that says, okay, everybody cleared the walkway, go.
No, I mean, we give them enough time to cross the street. We do a calculation. It's based on the walking speed, that 3.5 foot per second walking speed to get across the crosswalk, curb to curb.
My fear is that you're somebody who's unrelated to the school. They sit there, okay, let the people cross, no problem. Nobody's in the crosswalk. I'm supposed to sit there and stop, or is you free to go once the crosswalk is clear?
Once the crosswalk is clear, you can go.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So it's not like the Hawk system where it's two lights, then it blinks, and you could go if it's clear, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. No, it's different than that.
Okay.
It's more of a, you stop. if there's it's got a yield to pedestrian sign there at the, it's more of a yield condition than a
Yeah.
stop. Yep.
I guess the problem is people see blinking red lights and everybody stops. Even if there's nobody there, they just stop. And
You won't see, I mean, when it's not working, you're not gonna see it. It's gonna go black.
Right, but even when someone hits the crosswalk, they cross.
Mm-hmm.
The lights are still going,
Right,
even though the person's already walked on. It's still blinking red lights.
understood, yeah,
So you
It's
get
the-
some individuals that'll just sit there thinking it's a stoplight.
right.
Meanwhile, the HVAC truck behind them is trying to get through to their call, or someone's trying to get to work or whatever.
Yep,
I just.
it's an
I
education thing.
trust you guys know what you're doing, but
Yeah.
it's like, I foresee issues already.
Yeah, it's an education thing. It's, getting people to understand how to drive them, I mean, they should stop for them, and it's not going to be flashing very long. Once that person crosses the street, it's gonna gap out. It's gonna,
Is there gonna be a crossing guard there as well, or no? Are you trying to eliminate the crossing guard?
I mean, there is one there now.
There's two.
There's in the morning. There's one from what I saw, and then
There's Avon, there's one on
Yeah.
Avon, and there's one on North Brooksville.
and two. Yep. Different locations. I mean, that would be. I'd have to. Is that? Yep. Okay. So I mean, that's dual redundant. Yeah, that's great there.
Well, my thought is the crossing guard could start waving people through if they sit there and stuff. People stop at the trail,
Right.
without a light.
Yeah, understood.
So you're saying that there's not gonna be a crossing guard eliminated?
That's
Two, so they're gonna continue to be two.
that's.
One at Avon Boulevard and one at the school, correct?
I can't comment on that.
His grades.
Good evening, I'm Vin Massana, the Chief Operating Officer for the Cheshire Schools. We don't plan to change the crossing guards at all. There's two now. I would imagine we would keep two. Just want to note that the crossing guards are assigned by the police department, but obviously
Okay.
we do communicate very closely, and we will do what's necessary to make sure that we maintain or improve the level of safety. I think that, we have a plan that should improve traffic because of the driveway. Norton is probably our worst school right now. I think this makes it better.
We can require there be two, and that would have to be followed. That's what we're asking you now. Is two adequate? Just, right now, you're at the, I don't know, I don't want to, you're working with the PD. I don't want to say anything.
Sure.
You're working with the PD, but it's up to them as to what you have. Where right now, if we say that we feel that there's two required, and especially because you're enlarging the size of the school too.
Yeah, and frankly, the crossing guard is going to be there to oversee safety, but in actuality, you're automating their job to stop traffic. Now they're actually, hopefully they'll start to wave traffic out and keep things smooth, that's that sense. Whether we need two or not, I guess that's up to the police chief, but.
We haven't discussed that
Yeah.
in detail, but, obviously the intent would be
Yeah.
not to automate something that you really can't automate. I think the idea of having crossing guards is to make sure that they have eyes on what's happening, including with the improved technology.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why there's so many people parking at the church is because the parents are walking them across, because let's face it, they're 5, 6, 7 years old. I'd like to see the crossing guard stay, but, not my decision, I guess. And to Mr. Bowman's point,
Is it, can it be our decision?
Well, look at it this way. One, you would be conditioning something that's based on the actions of another agency, meaning the local traffic authority, in that sense. So legally, you don't have the authority. Once it's, it's as if you would be conditioning it, saying like, your approval is subject to getting a wetlands permit. You got to have the wetlands permit. You don't do wetlands. So in this case, I would say it may not be enforceable.
yeah, we could strongly encourage it.
Can we get a comment from the police chief, or the police department, since it's gonna?
Yeah, but this is gonna,
The answer is turn it down, that's all. Let them figure it out.
We're-
Simple.
But we're getting feedback now from police and fire
Correct.
on this application.
Correct.
Okay.
And police was in favor of the rapid flashing beacon and the pedestrian improvements that are shown on the plan. So they're aware of it, they're in
Could you
favor of
ask
it.
them the question if they are, now that we know it's up to the PD, are they gonna continue with 2 crossing guards?
I can ask that question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would assume, though,
Mr. Strollo?
they do a good job.
Okay. I'm reading about the percentile. So what's the average speed percentile in front of Norton? It's very low, isn't it?
So if you go to the east of the site, it's higher. You know, coming up from Denard Place, that
Yep, that's
you
the
know
one I'm
that's
looking
slower up there. That's because you're going up that hill. We had a 31 mile per hour. DOT has a traffic count station right there. That's where we pulled that. And then if you go east of the site, it's approximately 40 miles per hour.
But that's after, it's past the
Past
school.
the school, correct.
From what I mean, from all the years that I've been going down that road and towing off that road, I mean, I can't even remember a bad accident in front of Norton School. I think it's just, you know, a slow part of the road. Now, after going around the corner and before,
Yeah.
you know, before Avon Boulevard, all the way out to the Route 10 and the other way after the trail going, that's when it gets a little crazy. But I mean, I'm more than happy about the percentiles. What is the car count? I see that 4,600 car count during that period between 9 and 4. It should be really small on commercial vehicles for that road on 42. I'm thinking like maybe 5 or 10%.
I can get you that. I'd have to look at that. I don't
Yeah,
know that one.
that's what I'm trying to understand,
Yeah.
because I mean,
Give me 1 sec.
it's not supposed to be. It's a no truck road. Yeah, no, I'm saying like, yeah, it should be low.
Sorry. I'm gonna need to look at that. I don't think it's much, though. I just have to, I'm just not seeing it being up
Yeah,
here.
I couldn't find it either.
Maybe you can go on to the
I mean,
presentation, then you could find it
Yeah,
afterwards and
just-
let you know.
Yeah.
If you get that far, I just want to know what the percentage is, because to me, it's a pretty safe road for that intersection.
Yep.
And, I mean, he has a lot of, because you're there and you see it every day. Yeah, you got skin in the game. As far as like for me, for traffic, I mean, I think it's pretty safe intersection right now because everybody's slowing down. You know, it's so like, you know, for a school being there, it's a good thing.
So from the school east driveway to King Street, King Road?
Yeah, King Road.
It's a straightaway,
Yeah,
that's your 40 mile an hour, but once you hit the school, I don't know if it's a visual thing, because the church is on one side and you
guilt.
you see a school.
Guilt.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
We'll have
People
that
slow
somehow.
down, and then after Ward is a pretty tight turn down and away, so it's,
Yeah, so I
you're
said,
going fast, you're kissing your own.
yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy with the speed. That is a big thing for me, but I'm more than happy with the speed.
Yeah, I'm looking at the peak hour counts here. That has truck percentages. It's pretty low. I mean, it's less than 0.5%.
It's, I figured, should
Yeah,
be very low. 'cause
very low.
It's supposed to be a no truck road.
Right.
What do you call trucks? Is it like a box truck is the biggest?
Yeah, box truck and bigger.
Yeah.
Okay, because I think mostly it's commercial service, electricians, HVAC, Amazon trucks, UPS.
Well, that's it. That's
That's
a
not
low.
gonna
That's
be-
a low.
yep.
It's not like a. There's no truck traffic like Route 10
Right.
truck traffic.
A furniture
42 should
delivery
be.
truck is the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's going to be a local delivery. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
that's not a highly traveled commercial road.
Correct. Yeah, no through trucks. Yep.
No through trucks.
Yep.
Okay, anyone else have any traffic-related questions? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I do want to get, we have the slides that are part of your packet for the site logistics plan. But Laurel, so the goal is to during summer of 2024, so this summer, we are going to be doing some site enabling work, which is to partition thank you. To provide the temporary access off of Sharon Drive to the back of the site, as well as relocate a service drive around the back of the building, the existing building, as well as provide a temporary play area adjacent to the existing play area at the south portion of the existing building. So the purpose of this is to set the site up for the construction and the site development later in the year. We don't want to be separating the sites or providing this work before we're able to partition the site for the new area of the building separate from the existing. So in what we're calling Phase 2, from December 2024 to June 2026, the area in green at the north of the site is our Phase 2 construction area. So there, during this duration, and this is the longest duration of construction here, we would be providing the main construction entrance off of Sharon Drive. So here we would have a temporary parking lot for the workers that are working on the new building. The area in pink would more or less continue to be the pickup and drop-off operation and parking of the existing school. So the idea is though we're going to be grabbing the field that's out back and some of the playscapes, we will be able to operate the existing school for those academic years to be as it is existing. One thing that I do want to mention is though the primary construction entrance will be off of Sharon Drive, there will be times where significant deliveries such as steel, perhaps larger vehicles will need to get into the site. We will need to use the Brooksville entrance, and that's going to be an operational thing where we will need to schedule the deliveries before school starts or after school dismisses. So we're just not going to be able to get around having to get a large trailer onto the site in order to deliver construction materials. That is going to be the infrequently versus the day-to-day traffic that comes to the construction area. So during summer of 2026, students finish school in June of 2026 in the existing Norton Elementary School. At that time, the new school is ready to receive Project Punch List, FF&E and technology. The new construction will be complete so that when students show up for the new academic year, they'll be able to go to the new school. So as soon as school breaks for the summer, the abatement and demolition will start on the existing building. So that's the area that's highlighted in green that we're calling the Phase 3 construction area. So at this time, we're going to use the temporary parking that we had for the workers on the building. That is now going to be temporary staff parking lot and access to the site. So through the summer, we will be able to demolish a portion of the building so that we can continue to get some pickup and drop-off areas at the front of the building. and continue in what we call the Phase 4 construction area. So there is going to be some overlap between students in the new building and demolition of the existing building and development of the new parking spaces. So that is going to occur between September 2026 and November 2026. So late summer into early fall, into mid-fall is when the existing building is going to be abated, demolished, new parking is going to be there.
And what's the bus route during that?
So at that time, the bus route, Laurel, if you want to, yeah. Just identify yourself and speak.
Laurel Purcell with O&G Construction Manager. So you'll notice we have provisions for pedestrian access, as well as all traffic will be entering in from North Brooksville, rolling up. Buses and delivery trucks will go off to the left, and there's going to be a temporary, just for this short time frame, about 3 months. The buses will continue around the back of the building, as well as any delivery trucks, and out Sharon. So it will be a one-way out Sharon. Parents would be coming in the new drive here and doing what they will be doing later on. So what the parent loop will be permanent from the day one. It's just the buses and the delivery, because we cannot get the whole building down and the new construction of the parking lot done in just the 2 months. So we need to give some sort of provision for bus traffic and deliveries just for that short time frame while we're still continuing the rest of the parking lot.
I have a big concern for this time frame, because if for O&G, isn't 26th of November late for pavement?
That's the idea, is to get the pavement in by Thanksgiving.
But you have no overage, you have no leeway. If you get an early November snowstorm by the act of God and that happens, you're done.
We can only get the building down after they move out of it. So we are constrained by, first we got to turn the new building over, then they need to move into it, move out, then we need to abate it, then we need to demolish it, then we need to build the parking lot. So the goal is to get it done before the middle of November. There will be some sort of a cold asphalt, stone. I mean, we still got to turn the parking lot over. We just may not be able to final pave it. There is another phase after this.
So is there a door number 2 if that doesn't work out? Is there another plan?
The only plan would be to not be able to final pave it. We would have to do some sort of stone surface.
Just be a stone surface for the winter time.
Or some sort of cold binder course. Yeah, something just to get through the summer, or through the winter. Now, they would, in theory, still have that will be paved, what we're turning over as a temporary lot. So
I'd like to see an alternative plan for that, because that, to me, that's cutting it way too close. Because if you have any kind of problem or a snowstorm, I mean, I don't think that's feasible.
It's a gravel driveway. The plan is it would just stay a gravel driveway, and in the spring would be spring, summer.
right, and there is still one more phase. I'll just get to it.
Before you,
So we're going to need,
the temporary staff parking lot is paved.
correct.
Okay.
It'll just be a binder. It's not meant to be permanent.
Right.
But it will be there.
That's crazy.
That will be permanent, yes. We will be able to have built that. It's the whole parking lot. It's the whole front parking lot that's under the existing building footprint. Because if you go back to, that's all that will be permanent as of when we turn the school over. So then we're gonna be going, doing what we can to get the building down and get those parking lots done and get it paved, all by Thanksgiving.
Now, who
Starting
did
in
you
June,
say was
July.
the contractor? O&G, did I hear you
Yes,
correctly?
yes. Yes.
Yeah, you can't find a better company. They're one of the best. They are. What they say is what they do. You read up about their business and where they stand, coming from small family, they're just fine. The whole state of Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine, they're everywhere, you know, because they're dependable. That's the point that I'm trying to say, you know, for you, Sean, unless you know something
No,
I don't.
I'm not doubting their ability. I'm doubting weather. I mean, after November, we're in Connecticut. You don't know if you're getting snow, rain, tornado,
But they don't-
earthquake. You have no idea.
They don't
I mean,
shut down the road in the winter.
No, but they shut
Have
down
riprap,
by,
everything. They're well experienced, you know.
if it goes
Keep
after,
your
they
eye
shut the
open.
plant down on Thanksgiving.
We're at the mercy of the asphalt
It
plant,
goes into,
which
yeah, it definitely
we
goes into
own,
December.
but
The plant goes as long as the weather. It's,
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying is that if we,
it was into December the last 4 or 5 years, and we
Right.
were paving it in December.
but we're in a cycle. I mean, if it's no snow now, you don't know what's gonna.
But they have a
26.
plan. The plan was to put down some kind of gravel driveway. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's what, if Mother Nature throws a curve at them, that's what they're gonna have to do. I mean, it's, in any construction.
It'll be disastrous. That's all I'm saying.
So then
Hey,
the
on
last.
your day off, Sean, you should go see their operation. They're nice people.
I'm not saying, downing that. I'm not downing
like
that.
you.
I'm downing
Nobody's
the weather.
questioning- nobody's
I
questioning the people
it's-
doing the work.
It's the thing where isn't there any way that you guys could start earlier? I mean, or what's?
The kids are
you're-
in
you're
school.
sa-
You
It's
can't
2
do-
months.
You can't knock the school down while the kids are in it.
No, I know, but the school's over in June, right? Correct?
They are
And you're-
starting in June.
Oh, well, no, stop.
How are we at 2 months if it starts in June, in November?
Add a quick point, and I certainly appreciate the concern, Mr. Strollo. I share the concern. We want to get them out of there ASAP, and there is, weather's always a wild card. Weather could be a major factor in the middle of the construction process. You don't know, to your point. Our weather is so wildly variable. It could be 84 degrees in November, and I wouldn't be shocked. But just from a scheduling perspective, we're sensitive to what you're saying. We're trying that year, that 25-6 school year where we let out in June, we've moved the calendar up so that we get out of school a week earlier than we typically do.
Okay,
And
that's
we're-
something I like, you know.
And the other thing that we're doing, Sean, on the back end is we don't have this drafted yet because you only do 2 years out in a row, but we're planning on that third year, the 26, 27, not to start until after Labor Day, because the work that these guys are doing, you know, I don't want kids coming in and not, we want to give as much time as we possibly can. So from a scheduling perspective, we've created the longest summer we possibly can in 26 to give more time and space for these guys to just bang it out the best that they can. Now, you know, weather might still be a factor, you know.
But this project of taking the building down with the
Yeah.
abatement and everything, what is the real number? It's more than 2 months? It's gonna be the whole, because how are you getting all the way to November 26th? That's what I don't
So
understand.
the other thing that we're doing in that process too, and Laurel can certainly explain this much better than I can too, is we've talked about how do we take the gym offline and abate that earlier, you know, in the spring months, we can get out of there, because we could take kids outside for PE, stuff like that, to just kind of move the whole thing along as quickly as we possibly can. But Laurel can speak to the exact timelines on that stuff.
So we're anticipating starting it'll take about 6 to 8 weeks just to abate and demolish the building completely, and then that last month, because it's really only a 3-month period, will be the site work that's involved. So we've got storm drainage, there's a detention structure, there's a detention area, and then it's just the paving and the
So
striping
60
and
days
site lighting.
60 days is the building,
Yes.
correct?
Abatement and demolition of the building, yes.
60 days.
Yep,
So
and then
that gets you down to.
You really have
August.
1 month to build a parking lot.
Well, I don't think it's not do it, but I'm just saying is that I just get scared of November 26th. That's what I'm just saying. That's all I'm concerned
We will
about.
go as quickly as we can.
So just, I have the same thoughts as you. I'll be living it. June 10th, school gets out, whatever that date is. Kids go out, building starts coming down, abatement building. So you have middle of June to July to August, September, the kids roll in for the new school year. So you've got June, July, August, September. You have 3 months to knock down a building, and then you got a month to put a parking lot in.
Right. It's doable.
Yeah.
Get the right people.
I'm not saying that. I know ONG's the best company in the state. I'm not saying that. It's just that I'm saying November 26th. It happens.
You've been dealing with the devil too much. You gotta have faith.
I got him on speed dial.
Mr. Natale.
Okay, I'm gonna go a little different direction. So I like how you're closing the different areas off while the kids are in school. But while the kids are in school, demolition in the later phase is gonna happen. Construction in the earlier phase is gonna happen. So what's the quality of life for the kids in the school with the dust, with the noise? I know that you've considered it, but I'd just like to hear a little bit about that.
So back in phase 2, which is when we're building the new building, we will have 8-foot tall chain link fence around the entire perimeter of the site, and there'll be some scrim fabric on it with some slits in it. So most of the dust will be toned down at that point. Same thing when we flip over, we give them the new building, we're in the old building. Obviously, everything will be wet down. We're not just gonna crunch and make a whole bunch of dust when the existing building is coming down. So it'll be wet procedures, but it's the same thing, fully enclosed with a fence, with the scrim fabric. There won't be anything we'll be able to do with the visual. Will be a visual distraction when we're building the new building from the old school, because there's gonna be quite a few classrooms that are gonna have, great seats to see it, but.
What about the noise?
The noise, you shouldn't really hear anything with noise. You might hear some backup alarms. Just when we're pouring the concrete, once you get the building enclosed, you're really not gonna hear anything. The only thing that's kind of noisy is the site work, which will be starting in mid-December. So at least windows, in theory, will be closed, right? The existing building will be closed, so they shouldn't hear it that much. But yeah, you will have the backup alarms of just the earth-moving equipment.
Gotcha. And as far as the delivery of the materials, I know that you said the bigger stuff's gonna have to be scheduled, coming through Brooksville. Makes sense. What are the hours that the other stuff's gonna be brought in? So is it gonna interfere with any of the school buses for the high school or any of the local roads around there?
No, what we will do is we will have provisions in our bid documents of timeframes that we'll work out with the school between the morning and afternoon. Will there probably be an hour timeframe where no deliveries, no contractor personnel will come to the job site, and we do this on all our schools that are occupied, that we have to avoid the bus traffic on both sides of the day.
Good plan. Thanks.
Mr. Bowman's first.
So you're looking at completion date of spring of 2027?
Yes, that was the last phase, which was whatever temporary provisions we are putting in, since we've run out of, we are anticipating we're gonna run out of fine weather. We will need to return in the spring of 2027 just to take up whatever temporary pavement is down and just kind of restore everything, do some final planting. That's
So
where the temporary parking lot's gotta be. Excuse me?
When are you going for your substantially complete?
As far as the site or the building will be substantially
The project?
This would be in November. I'm sorry, and yeah, in November, we would be substantially complete with the exception of site restoration.
Okay, so you feel then you'll be going for a certificate of occupancy then in November of 2026?
Yeah, but the building we're gonna need to turn over in September, August. That, we're gonna need the building to be able to turn over in August for them to occupy it.
So the CO will happen sometime in the summer
Yeah,
of
I know.
26 to get the kids
Now
in.
you're talking about emergency egress. It's all gonna have to be, whether this is torn up or not, you're gonna have to provide that for your emergency vehicles.
Right, yeah, that emergency egress
Circle,
path
yeah.
will still be around the entire school. So, well, let me
With
go
the
back.
dual entrance from North Brooksville and from Sharon Drive.
Correct. Well,
That will be,
Sharon's an exit
that will be
only.
complete in November of 2026.
Correct.
Mr. Burkott.
So in your mission statement, you mentioned about now and future students' mind and body, but I look at the temporary play area and it looks like it's a lot smaller than what's current there. I want to make sure that is equal to what they have now, both in what equipment is there, what that field is, if it's hard top for playing games, soft top, basketball, whatever, that needs to be the same, so there's no disruption in that play time. The kids don't get enough of it as it is, and that's part of their mind and body that's in your mission statement.
Correct, with the exception is we will not have a regulation-sized ball field. That's more or less where we're building the building. So that's something, as we get into the next few months of design and coordination, we'll be making sure with the district that they know exactly how the students are going to be exercising and playing.
And that's the same, it's all gonna be the same size, all that, or is it gonna completely change for them?
The goal is to have the students have the same experience for recess and physical education as they do now.
So
I
it'll be the
I
same
can't sit here
size?
and tell you that we're 10 square feet smaller than an existing playscape. That's something that we need to have fidelity to the process as we work with the district. So
that's just a guess, you just threw some green on there? And just the area that you have? I don't want to see the kids get cut short because of this. They don't get enough of that. They need to have that same exact experience. If you're going to stay true to your mission statement, that should be the same. There should be no degradation in that experience for these kids.
In regards to that as well, is the playscape in the back going to be moved, or is it going to be some kind of temporary playscape or elements or is it just going to be a green field with the ball?
So there are some playscapes that are out front now. We probably should have a conversation about relocating the playscapes that we're displacing
You should.
in the back to the front. Yep.
Yeah, either or just that would be ideal. The one in the front is very minor compared to the one in the back.
Sure.
Are you all set?
I will say that, notwithstanding the concern about making sure that we are, providing appropriate exterior exercise and free play, we do a lot of occupied renovations or additions throughout the state for new school construction or additions and renovations. By far, the most successful projects are ones where the faculty, the principal, the parents, and the students are all engaged and all buy into the process. And it can become an opportunity for these students to experience a construction site. But that's not to say that we're going to have them swinging hammers out there, but just, right, free labor,
They
right?
could probably help in the demolition portion of it.
Right. But, wrapping it into a curriculum where students of the month get a free tour of the building after hours, taking field trips, educational field trips when all of the, maybe there's a Friday where we get all of the subcontractors out of the site or out of the building so that we can conduct some tours, get all the kids hard hats, bring them through, a curated tour. I know I'm increasing Laurel's heart rate now talking about this, but certainly if you make it part of the experience for the students, they respond to the challenge. So that's something that in every single project that we have as a occupied renovation or addition, that is critical to make sure that, this is not seen as an obstacle to the day-to-day student experience. It's an opportunity.
So, construction hours for the new building, definitely, I see the schedule, and that's great. Are we talking, 7A to 7P, or are we talking
It's
two
usually
shifts?
7 to 3:30. That's like a typical day.
Okay.
As far as when we would be
So
working.
There's not going to be any need for night work or?
There could be.
Okay.
There could be. I didn't mention when we went back to when we were first building in Phase 2, those utilities that you saw in the prior plan. We will be putting all those in over the summer. There's that summer of 2025, which is between when we get started and we're turning the building over in 2026. So we'll put all those utilities in coming through the existing driveway over that summer and obviously patch it back before school starts.
I'm all for getting it done, but I'm sure the neighbors would have something to say about that, but I think it's a good balance. The other question too, I see the blueprints for the classrooms and everything else. Is there ample space for other groups that use the school? I'm thinking Boy Scout groups, drama clubs, that type of thing, extra storage, closet space, if you will.
So one of the things that I just want to go back to the way that the floor plan is organized. We have the ability to, so specific storage we have throughout the building. I'm not sure that we have dedicated any type of specific closet for, say, Boy Scouts or a community, but that's something that we can discuss with the district. But what I do want to point out is we have the ability to compartmentalize the learning communities from the rest of what we call the public, the public areas, which means to say that you can operate the building with the gym, the cafeteria, the kitchen, Main Street, without getting into anywhere the classrooms are. So, rec league basketball, weekend rec basketball tournaments, community function, those can all operate within the building so as to minimize the amount of trespass, if you will, to the actual classroom spaces throughout the rest of the building. So that's something that is consistent and built into both the North End and Norton.
And utilities is also separate, so if they're using that for, okay.
Correct, yes. The way that the air handling and the overall delivery of the building climate is, has those larger spaces on their own systems.
So I have a question.
And I do want to back up to the question about warming shelters or emergency shelters. The reason why both the district and the building committee, the NGSBC, focused on the North End more so than Norton for making sure that we had a cooling, warming, charging center, is that the high school, which is in proximity to Norton, is kind of that area of town's designated area for that. So this Norton specifically did not, it was not perceived to have that need within the community that the North End does.
Sorry. Laurel, this is probably for you. We talked a little bit just a second ago about neighbors. How are we enrolling the neighbors? How are we helping folks understand what to expect? Backup alarms, what decibels are they running at? Are they the beep beeps or the quack quacks? Because that does make a difference. So how do we help manage expectations, dirt on the road, accumulations, rain, the whole dog and pony show?
There was an outreach effort done, not with the specifics of construction, but once we get ready to start working on site, we have a flyer. It's like a good neighbor policy. We have a whole field team that will be, for each school, going around to different neighbors, giving out their business cards and what to expect, and answer any questions so that our superintendents and our project manager, who will be on the site full-time, they're the first person. If somebody has a complaint, they call them. So they'll manage if somebody has a dust issue, or if they think they hear something, or, it's a pretty big site, so, backup alarms will be pretty much centralized. We can go do a decibel reading around the outside, but I wouldn't expect it to be exceeding any sort of sound decibels at the property line. But we have, our project team will be the people that will be dealing directly with the neighbors. And
they're
there'll be
your
some sort of a
employees?
communication, I'm sure, a formal communication sent out long before we get started on site.
Okay, and those folks that are on site are your employees?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
There's still a pretty good woods buffer around that work site too, I think, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. I mean, we're going to be coming in and out of the Sharon Drive access, so people will hear trucks coming in and out there. So that's not something they're used to. We'll just have to get used to it, that's all. It's just different.
Okay. Yeah, I got public. I just want to make sure of one thing. I've heard a lot of different, for the Sharon Drive access, it doesn't have to be tonight, but maybe at the next meeting. when this whole project is complete, I want to know exactly what the Sharon Drive access is going to be. I've heard construction access. I've heard exit only was the first time I heard that. I've heard we might have people walking in, kids walking in. I've heard kids maybe dropping off, but I haven't heard any real answer of in 2027 and going further, what is the Sharon Drive access going to be? That's, you don't have to answer it now, but sometime before the next meeting, when everything's done, how are we going to use that? How are we going to use that access?
Right. You are correct in identifying that it's a lot of different things during the course of construction. It's one of the ways that we're able to minimize the amount of disruption to the North Brooksville side of the site. So we'll be able to articulate that at the next meeting. Sure.
Okay.
Something that's come up recently on developments in Cheshire is the cleanliness of the roads. This is something we're going out of the way to give this access off of Sharon. The people aren't used to it. How are you going to clean those roads from these trucks dragging dirt and debris in and out? Is that going to be a daily street sweeper that you have there?
Yes, we will have a water truck as well as a street sweeper. We will require our site contractor to have that on a daily basis. At each construction entrance, there is a designed construction entrance which has the riprap, and we can also wash the wheels. So it'll be a daily item to make sure that the streets are kept clean.
In addition to Mr. Kurtz's comment, come summer of 27, when you're done, what the landscaping looks like for the Sharon Drive and the Farmington access, making sure that it's eye appealing to the neighbors and looks finished. I hate to see access, do everything you got to do, okay, great, and then it's just dirt and gravel at the end of it. So any kind of landscaping plans also would be interesting too.
Right. What will be left to be finished will be taking up the temporary parking lot, and I believe the majority of that is grass, right? So most of that will just be grass. We've got a little bit of temporary sidewalk out front, but again, that will mostly be grass. But there may be some miscellaneous plantings that will have to be done.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The temporary part, again, is going to be a ball field or a field someday, but right out on the edge of Sharon, where Sharon and that access driveway is, that driveway, if you will, have some grass or plantings or something that looks decent for the neighborhood as well. I know, I think of like Darcy, there's a back entrance there and it looks awful because the asphalt's falling apart. There's some.
You're talking about the plantings along the access to Sharon?
Yeah, right. The plantings or turf or whatever, I mean, just so long as it's not left dirt, gravel, and rock.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, if you can supply some renderings of what you're envisioning.
Yeah, that'll be on the.
Oh. Perhaps I spoke too soon.
Okay, public, anyone from the public wishing to ask questions, speak on this application? No? Okay. All right, commission members, yes, come on up to the mic, please.
Come on, Linda, you can do it.
I'm Linda DiCello. I'm on Farmington Drive. I've been to all the meetings.
Can you speak to us and just speak to us and into the microphone, because I had a lot of trouble hearing what you had to say, so.
I've been to the earlier meetings that they've had because I'm on Farmington, and the bus driveway will be going by my house. My concern originally was lighting, which they've addressed to me, and now I'm concerned about the beeping. I know it's only going to be one summer, but it's going to be loud. All summer I'll hear beep, beep, beep. I know there's nothing to do about it, which is why I wasn't going to even ask, but I'm hoping for. Yeah. I'm hoping for plantings actually behind my house, and you've all said that you would, so I'm sorry I even come up here. And you've all been very helpful. The meetings that I've come to have been wonderful, so thank you.
Hey, Linda, I've never had the ability to publicly thank you for what you did for a bunch of veterans in the early 70s. And I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the letters that you used to write us when you were in high school. And I really appreciate that. I'm not saying how old you are, though.
Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? All right, commission members, now they're coming back again. Is there any questions that we forgot to ask them tonight? We asked them a lot. Is there anything else? If there is something else too, like we did last time, get it to Mr. Glidden, and Mr. Glidden could forward if we forget about it until tonight and whatever. Mr. Natale?
Yep, just, I'd like to, I know we have plans, but I'd like to just hear you talk a little bit, could be at the next meeting, about the lighting plan, for the light bleeding off the property.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. We'll be holding this public hearing open. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn the public hearing. Motion by Mr. Natale, second by Mr. Dawson. All those in favor? Aye. You're not voting? Okay. John, you want to come up? Please. With that, I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning for March 11th, 2024. It says 23, but 24. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes from the public hearing and regular meeting from February 12th? Moved by Mr. Mercado, seconded by Mr. Dawson. Discussions, comments, anything? Anybody about the minutes? Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Any communications come before us tonight?
No, but I will have something I'll send out to the commission after the meeting. Previous meeting, the commissioner asked about rain events from the engineering department. They actually have traced rain events for the past 3 years. It's kind of interesting to see. I'll send the data over to the group after this meeting.
Okay. Under unfinished business, we have the school. Are we ready to vote on that? You have motions for us?
Yes, I do. Motion to approve application for a site plan on behalf of the town of Cheshire. Will Walter, PE agent. Applicants requesting a site plan approval per section 30, Schedule A, for an elementary school located at the property on Marion Road, Assessors Map 26, Lot 16, Zone R40. Commission finds, based on the documents provided, and the applicant has demonstrated compliance with the Cheshire zoning regulations. Approval is based on plans titled North End Elementary School prepared by Tecton Architects with a revision date of February 8th, 2022. The approval is subject to the following conditions. 1, the applicant has agreed to utilize a power-actuated gate with an automatic override system to be approved by the fire chief or his designee. 2, the fire department emergency key boxes need to be installed and maintained on the building in location to be approved by the fire chief or his designee. And 3, a 2-foot grass strip along the sidewalk going out to Marion Road will be added.
Moved by Mr. Natale, second by Mr. Mercado. Discussion on the motion.
Yeah, question. I thought that one of the stipulations was going to be also something that I think Mr. Messiana and Dr. Solon agreed to about the zone for the buses. The kids would all be bused if there weren't sidewalks.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
The zone for busing.
Yeah, we will.
Zone for the busing.
I'm sorry?
Busing zone, if there's no sidewalks.
Yeah, I thought there were,
Hey, when it comes to safety, that's number one.
no.
Yes.
I'm honestly don't think this
Yes.
is quite ready. That's just my opinion. I think we need to be sure that everything, like you say, with safety has been addressed. And I know that in the future, you have said that you are going to work with.
This is not a
the-
public hearing. You
Not a
gotta
public
just talk
hearing.
here.
I don't care if it's a public hearing or not.
I will-
I have the ability to ask questions. It's
Staff.
For discussion, correct?
Staff, yeah, staff. You can't ask these guys questions. The public
Okay.
hearing is closed.
Then I'm asking staff.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm asking.
DEP.
Yeah, I don't know if you can
They
ask
said they were gonna
DEP,
get
but
back to us or work with DEP on,
They went to DEP, and remember they said that they're going to be subject to a stormwater permit, which then DEP will trigger also the species on site. So they have to deal with having a herpetologist associated with their stormwater permit. And then also in their stormwater permit, SHPO, State Historic Preservation Office, will have to review that too.
okay, so that'll be
That's-
addressed then?
That's a standard practice with the state permitting.
Okay, and the applicant has been notified of the historic significance and the possibility of Indians, an Indian battle on the site or close to the site.
And like I said, that would be handled during that state permitting process.
That is my concern.
And then for Commissioner Natale, your comment about the students, so students not served by adjacent sidewalk network will be bused to the site,
So I'd like to make that motion to amend.
to add that.
I'm saying,
okay, the amendment has happened, it's been seconded. I just want to make sure, Mr. Bowman, I was not trying to get at you, but is your question addressed? Is he covered with under what he said? Okay, because you didn't really talk about what it was.
That question has been, my
Okay,
question
and I was
on
cutting
that
you off
has
because
been-
you were addressing them, and you can't really address them. That's
I
why,
understand that. I have another question for staff.
let's hear it.
The application, it was originally submitted, was it ever,
Was amended.
it was amended? And was it amended with the, for site, bringing in of material? That's all been amended?
Yes, to the proper numbers that they discussed, along with, it was amended to, about the cafeteria layout. meaning Chespercott.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Picado had a comment?
Question for staff. With the letter that came from Water Management or whoever sent that letter out about the sewers being old, do we have to check anything, or with the increased flow going into that manhole or into that access in that sewer that goes through there, does that need to be inspected to make sure it can handle this?
So they've received approval from WPCA, and when they go to do their connections, that'll be handled by inspections with the WPCA. So there's nothing,
So if it can't handle that or there's problems there, who takes care of that?
well, it would be part of the construction project that they would be put on notice by WPCA, and the applicant would have to address that.
Okay, thank you.
yeah, that second before the closing of the public hearing. I was sick, that's why.
All right. So listen, I'm not trying to force this down anyone's throat. I mean, if you guys are not comfortable with what we have here, and we meet again in 2 weeks, I mean, I don't think this throws off their timeframe, but I thought it was ready. I'm not forcing anybody. So I just, if you guys feel that, we need 2 more weeks to make sure our I's are dotted and T's are crossed, I mean, I'm not opposed to that.
Well, I was worried about the amendment. That was done prior to the close of the public hearing?
Correct.
Okay, so that was taken care of. From day one, I've been concerned about safety on this site.
And yeah, I think that part of my thing was going to say, like, they listened to us, and they came in and they did a good job with saying that they're going to do the sidewalks and everything that they put on the record, correct me if I'm wrong, is what they have to do.
Correct.
I saw that and reviewed the tape and everything, so I did see that. I just want to be sure.
Like I said, if you're not comfortable, I'm not,
The presentation tonight was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
All right, tonight's, what they had has nothing to do with this.
I
just want to
understand.
make sure
That's
this
why
is taken
before,
care of.
A lot of questions weren't answered.
Yes.
If staff feels that they've been answered, and you feel that they've been answered, then.
Well, I'm one up here, so I'm, like I'm saying, I'm not forcing anything down anybody's throat. We did, when it first came in, quite frankly, it was not up to snuff. We gave it to them. I believe they did a good job. I believe safety was that utmost concern. If anyone,
I do not feel it's being forced down my throat.
Okay, all right. So, is there any other discussion on the motion?
Question, do we need to vote that up?
The event, no, it was a friendly addition to the amendment. He approved it, the seconder approved it, and yeah, and we are good. So all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Motion to approve application for special permit on behalf of the town of Cheshire. Will Walter, PE agent. Applicants requesting special permit pursuant to Section 30, Schedule A of the zoning regulations for an elementary school for the property located Marion Road, Assessors Map 26, Lot 16, Zone R40. The commission finds, based on the documents provided, that the applicant has demonstrated compliance with the Cheshire zoning regulations. The approval is based on plans titled North End Elementary School prepared by Tectine Architects with a revision date of February 8th, 2024.
Move staff order.
Move Mr. Dawson, seconded by Mr. Mercado. Discussion on this motion. No discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Next.
Motion to approve application for earth removal, filling, or regrading permit on behalf of town of Cheshire. Applicant Will Walter, PE agent. Applicants requesting special permit pursuant to Section 25 of the zoning regulations for earth removal, filling, or regrading of the property located at Marion Road, Assessors Map 26, Lot 16, Zone R40. The commission finds, based on documents provided, that the applicant has demonstrated compliance to the Cheshire zoning regulations. The approval is based on plans titled North End Elementary School prepared by Tecton Architects, the revision date of February 8th, 2024.
Move staff order.
Move Mr. Dawson, seconded by Mr. Mercado. Discussion on this motion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries unanimously.
What do you say?
I think, is there anything else to come before us tonight?
That's it.
That's it? All right, motion by Mr. Mercado, seconded by Mr. Natale, and we're all in favor.